inductee goes hand in hand with super jock. Scott Childers, don't go too far, okay? Because you've done a tremendous job of preserving the history of the next inductee. They're one of the radio stations that a lot of us here tonight grew up listening to. And for many years, Larry Lujek called it his home. Ladies and gentlemen, the Rock of Chicago, WLS.
Lakeshore Drive, north side, west side, south side in Chicago. It's WLS. WLS, WLS. WLS yesterday, 1963.
Hi, this is Nick Biondi on WLS Radio. Wherever you are, I hope you're smiling.
On the Bernie Allen Show is 26 and a half minutes till 2. Another super sound of the 60s for you.
It's a good time for the good sound of Chicagoland 65 on the Dex Card Show.
Hi again, everybody. This is Dex Card, the crew cut fell in the first row. Back again with you as we continue the countdown in the Silver Dollar Survey, and I hope you're on to do it daily with Dex, Chicagoland's most authoritative and accurate survey of record popularity.
Ron Riley.
From Chicago to the North American continent, WLS.
With the power of music.
WLS on a Chuck Buell show for a Sunday night, and tonight Larry Lujak is heading for Mundelein, Illinois at Carmel High School with 4 days and a night in the One-Eyed Jacks. 8 o'clock tonight is kickoff time for that.
WLS in Chicago.
I guess we can say that LS has its best success when the people on the air are allowed to be freest, something I think management should remember.
I think I just try to be myself, and if I can see something that's going on that I find it's interesting or a distorted perception that I think's funny, I'll try to slip it in.
If the guys at the station aren't having a good time, the audience isn't going to have a good time either. And WLS people always were allowed to, and even if they weren't allowed to, they did have a good time.
So as we celebrate rock and roll and all the talented Illinois musicians that will be inducted into our inaugural Hall of Fame tonight, we also pay tribute to rock and roll's best friend, and that's radio. Rock and roll and radio go together like hand and glove, like peanut butter and jelly, like Mr. Peterick and pretty much anything purple. Wait till you see later. I don't want to ruin it for you. But rock and roll and radio go together like Uncle Lair and Little Tommy, don't they? Mm-hmm. So radio brought us R&B. Radio brought us country and the blues. Radio bridged those miles and made the endless hours fly by. Radio was there to herald the dawn of rock and roll, and it made the connection between the music, the disc jockey, and you, the listener. And no one did this bigger or better than WLS Music Radio 89. After 36 years of broadcasting music and news for the farmers and the weekly airing of the National Barn Dance, which was every Saturday night, the Big 89 began cranking out rock and roll on May 2nd, 1960. They introduced Chicago to the Midwest, acts like the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, Motown, musicians paying tribute to tonight, the ones right here that'll be on our stage. Ides of March, the Buckinghams, Chicago, and then later, Cheap Trick and REO Speedwagon. Now, in addition to that, the personalities on WLS were larger than life. Clark Weber, Art Roberts, Ron Riley, and the incredible Dick Biondi. John Records Landecker. You see John's fans are right over here. Or are you up there? I can't tell. Bob Surratt. Fred Winston. And please, let's all give a big round of applause to somebody that was a groundbreaking announcer, Yvonne Daniels. And of course, as we've seen, Super Jock Larry Lujak. I could stand up here and name these names all night long. That's how many people were so influential at WLS. I mean, you think about it, they were as popular as the music, right? I mean, think about it. Hundreds of young listeners aspired to become radio personalities just like their heroes, including me. I was the one, as I said, standing out there with a little snot nose way back when. Now, WLS was not only a giant in Chicago, but across the Midwest. In fact, the station could be heard clearly in 38 states, in Canada and Mexico and beyond. For 29 years, WLS was the rock of Chicago. They spanned an era from Roy Orbison to Richard Marx, from Dion to Duran Duran, and from the Hollywood Argyles to Huey Lewis and the News. They always played, promoted, and supported our local and Illinois groups. Always. Now, when the music stopped, news and talk prevailed, with Chicago favorites like Don Wade and Roma, Ro Khan, Gary Meyer, as well as Steve Dahl and Jonathan Brandmeier, and Big John Howell. And the last three have all been active here in the local and Midwest music scene. So it gives me great honor tonight to induct WLS, the Big 89, into the Illinois Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And accepting the award tonight is WLS AM Program Director and my former boss, by the way, Stephanie Tishner.
Thank you, Scott. And on behalf of everyone at WLS AM, I would like to thank you all for this incredible honor. It's been almost a century since the world's largest store created what's become a 50,000-watt radio station. We have evolved from the home of the barn dance in the 1920s to a top 40 station in the 1960s and to a news and talk station in the 1990s. Music radio WLS has been home to legendary names in rock and roll music since that first record was played back on May 2nd, 1960. That was Alley-Oop by the Hollywood Argyles, for all of you kids in the audience. WLS is home to personalities who helped make those songs, though, top hits in Chicago. Remember, it was our DJs who talked over the intro to songs as you were trying to record them on that tape recorder. I know y'all know what I'm talking about. Names like Larry Lujak, John Records Landecker, Yvonne Daniels, Clark Weber, and that wild Italian Dick Biondi. They all trigger fond memories of listening to good old rock and roll on WLS in the car, at a party, and for some of you, through a transistor radio tucked under your pillow. We're honored to be included in this inaugural class, along with these other esteemed names whose contributions to rock and roll have all been featured in some way or another on WLS. For many of the artists being inducted tonight, having a song played on the radio was a magical moment. But it wasn't until they heard their song played on their hometown station of WLS that they knew they finally hit it big. And for all of them, we consider tonight's ceremony a reunion, one that confirms that life is rock, and WLS rolled them. Thank you.